Zenigata has been assigned to transport a stash of money that's been seized from various arrests over the past year. He's confident, but finds a tape from Lupin claiming he'll steal it. The gang watch as the police transport comes into view. The first move is for Jigen to snipe the car in front. Zenigata's informed, but Lupin hijacks the car and the car behind. Zenigata gloats that Lupin won't get in as the door can't be opened from outside, but Jigen fires a laxative in his mouth while he does so. Zenigata pulls up to a convenient toilet stop. While he does what he needs to, Lupin hijacks the transport. Zenigata's cuffed it to the toilet, but the force driving off just pulls the building on top of him. Fujiko arrives to help move the money, but claims she can't hear Lupin over the noise of her helicopter. Not trusting her, Lupin has Goemon cut the money out from the bottom. Moving the money by horse, the gang worry about dealing with border checks. Zenigata also confirms this with the Commissioner, right before succumbing to the laxative again. Jigen confirms with Lupin that there are border checks all around. They search around for a better transport and happen upon a truck near a church. As they unload the bricks it's carrying, a nun greets them, thinking they're builders. They decide to play along for the moment. Upon unloading the bricks, Lupin takes the truck and loads the money inside. Jigen's apprehensive about stealing from a church as they reach Zenigata. Their disguises don't help much as he still wants to inspect the truck. The nun appears and recognises Lupin as the builder. She also manages to stare down Zenigata and stop him from inspecting the truck. The gang camp in the church that night. They're stuck with no means of hiding the money, so Lupin declares if they're builders, they can help finish building the church. The nun wakes up and discovers they finished it overnight. Giving her name, Joanna, she blesses the church and Lupin for his help. Zenigata arrives and engages in a shootout. Goemon manages to slice a car open and the gang use it to make their getaway. Jigen also adds insult to injury by firing another pill at Zenigata, this time a tranquilizer. The gang share a drink and soon notice the weather taking a turn for the worse. Turns out the money was mixed in with the church's building materials. Joanna discovers this and sees it as a blessing from God. Zenigata less so. Sometimes you just have to feel for Zenigata. But you can still laugh at how much the gang managed to clown him. Also have to note that Goemon managed to open the bottom of the transport pretty easily considering how much Zenigata was bragging about Lupin not being able to get inside it. Overall, while not a high stakes episode, I found it enjoyable and generally quite chilled out. Jigen discovers Lupin's latest plan, infiltrating a place known as Grand Hexagon, with his eyes set on a 50-ton gold reserve. A disguised Fujiko has gone on ahead to inform Zenigata. The gang move to Grand Hexagon with transforming Mini Coopers. No idea if that's some weird Italian job reference or not. Zenigata talks with the Grand Hexagon band manager, who's already aware of Lupin's arrival. The manager shows Zenigata the reserve, a giant wall of golden bricks beneath his office. The gang watch and learn of the particulars in accessing the gold. With Goemon's help, Lupin and Jigen make a nighttime infiltration. They discover a pressure-sensitive alarm, triggering if a brick is removed. While investigating, the elevator raises up and Lupin and Jigen fall through a trapdoor. The manager mocks them, having known they bugged Zenigata. Lupin and Jigen swim out and discover a derelict submarine. Investigating, they discover a photo of the manager and learn that he served with everyone's favourite moving targets, the National Socialists. Because we had to get one more reference to them before Series 2 ends. Lupin radios Fujiko and gives her his location. The manager also picks up the signal and orders Lupin killed to keep the secret from getting out. They use depth charges on the submarine as Fujiko and Goemon reach Lupin and Jigen. Lupin and Jigen then use their clothes to trick the manager into thinking they're dead. As Zenigata leaves promising to honour Lupin's death, the gang move into action. Fujiko, Jigen and Goemon set up a conveyor system leading to the bank vault. Fujiko begins by loading regular bricks onto the conveyor belt. Upon reaching the bank, Lupin hammers out one of the gold bricks. Jigen quickly replaces it with one of the regular bricks. Fujiko complains about the physical work involved, but quickly changes her tune upon seeing the gold arrive. The gang work into the night and move all the gold to their possession. The gang head back to the transport along the conveyor system. Unfortunately, one of the bricks ends up breaking and sets off the alarm. The manager's alerted and stops the gang escaping over one of the bridges by electrifying it. He also tries to crush them with moving buildings, which the gang evade by separating the truck. They soon rejoin and Goemon slices up a missile attack. Lupin then decides to try and jump the river. The manager pulls the landing point away just as a bomb under the submarine explodes. A torpedo launches, hitting the bank. The manager loses his grip on the machine in the explosion and Lupin's landing point returns. The gang celebrates, contemplating what to do with their golden prize. I think it was obvious the bricks weren't going to hold, given gold's density in comparison and all. It was fun watching everything set up to steal it though. Pity we didn't get more of the Killer City stuff going on too, as that gave us some good action as the gang tried to evade it. A strange robot is seen flying over Tokyo. It then breaks into a jewellery shop and swipes everything. The police don't manage to do anything as it's bulletproof and fends them off with a supersonic attack. As it leaves, it drops cards indicating Lupin was behind it. A news broadcast reveals that the robot was originally designed for military purposes, with the message from Lupin suggesting they stole it so it doesn't get used that way. The robot, known as Lambda, returns to the gang. It's revealed to be piloted by a girl named Maki. Tokyo is put under martial law, but Zenigata tries to protest that something's off. The chief shows him some documents on Lambda explaining that it was developed by the scientist Oyamada. Maki is Oyamada's daughter. Maki and the gang send Lambda out again, showing little regard for anyone around them. Zenigata spots it during a train ride. He chases after it by boarding one of the military tanks pursuing it. The military goes overboard on attacking even with him trying to stop them. He charges after Lambda on his own, witnessing the military causing more collateral damage just to try and bring it down. Lambda tries to save some bystanders from a falling sign, and Maki protests when Lupin suggests he fire on the military helicopters as they attack. Maki returns to the gang's hideout with Zenigata and the military still in pursuit. Goemon sends out a fake, but Zenigata's not fooled. He rides up to the top and finds Lambda but gets knocked out. Lupin speaks with the man he claims is his father and Zenigata wakes up, tied up and being tended to by Maki. He calls her out, asking how many she thinks died in that attack earlier. She cracks, explaining that she stole Lambda from her father's benefactor, Nagata. Oyamada designed Lambda for peaceful purposes, but Nagata militarized it, so her intent was to bring notice to its existence. Lupin enters and Zenigata hints he's a fake, bluffing him on a birthmark. He suspects that this Lupin is Nagata's son, planning to sell the robot on the black market. Maki's led away upon hearing this, and the fake Lupin leaves Zenigata with a bomb. Zenigata at least reassures Maki that she's no killer. Maki's tied up and loaded into Lambda, intended as a scapegoat. They launch Lambda as the bomb goes off. Zenigata's managed to escape and dives aboard Lambda as it flies off. He pulls Maki free and it's revealed that he was Lupin from the start. Informing Maki that the real Zenigata's headed to the airport, he tells her to fly Lambda there. Nagata meets with the fake gang and discusses their next move. As they do so, a news broadcast informs Lambda is heading in their direction. They race off to prepare, unaware that Fujiko caught them on film. Lupin's already there, and is soon joined by the rest of the gang. They make pretty short work of the fakes. Nagata still has the robots, unleashing one to attack them. Unfortunately for him, it decides to target him instead. Maki shows him the control chip for the base, having reprogrammed it to self-destruct. Zenigata arrives on the scene to find an emerging Maki with the fake gang on hand. She presents him with Fujiko's footage, and Zenigata laughs at someone trying to impersonate Lupin for their own gain. Maki informs him that Lupin's already left, thanking him for everything as she does so. We end with the gang riding off to their next adventure with one last rendition of Superhero. Our second episode directed by Miyazaki, and rather fittingly the final episode of Series 2. Also the second episode released under the Tales of the Wolf banner, likely cashing in on Miyazaki's popularity even in the days of VHS. I'm only half joking about Maki being Nausicaa, as she does have a similar design, and she's also voiced by the same actress, Sumi Shimamoto. Q theories that Nausicaa is set in the far future of Lupin III, I guess. On the note of design, Fujiko's look here also inspired the 1987 cartoon version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' April O'Neil, as confirmed by writer David Wise. On top of that, the design for Lambda, also appearing in Castle in the Sky, is inspired by the 1941 Superman animation The Mechanical Monsters. The episode itself is also a good one, once again looking visually excellent even by the increased visual quality of these final episodes. As time went on, it became obvious that this was a fake gang, but it was nice to see the mystery build. That and the real gang completely curb-stomping them. I do kind of wish that it was Zenigata the whole time, as he ends up not really doing much as a result of the reveal. That said, it's not like it wasn't hinted at, as Lupin references Superman, which we know he's a fan of, as well as being drawn to Maki rather than a father in the photos shown. If nothing else, I'm fairly sure this was the longest we've seen Lupin disguised as Zenigata. Overall, I'd say we ended on high notes. With that, we come to the end of Series 2. While not every episode hits, the majority certainly manage it. It's definitely easy to see just how this managed to influence so many over the years. Also saying nothing of its own influences for episodes from Japanese myth to old films to contemporary TV shows in both Japan and the West. The many different sources it pulls from and places the gang into almost always make sure there's something interesting to watch. Plus, if you don't like one episode, it's always worth checking out the next, because there's always a chance you'll like that one instead. The gang as a whole managed to get fleshed out quite well too, through character-focused episodes and recurring themes with each member. For example, while Fujiko doesn't get a focus episode in this series, it becomes obvious through watching that she's the intel gatherer and has a love of music. It's interesting to look at voice actors, writers, animators and directors too. I haven't mentioned many through this series, but a lot of people here went on to become quite renowned in their own right. It's harder to pick recommended episodes just because there's so many, but I suggest giving the first 10 episodes a look, as I feel that would give a good idea as to whether you'll like the series or not. Of course, me saying that now might be a bit redundant, seeing as I'm sure anyone watching up to this point would likely be a fan anyway. Or maybe you started with Series 5 and want to go back or something. Anyway, the end of an era in some ways, but still plenty of Lupin III on the horizon. Thanks for watching so far, whether you're coming in just on this video or you're one of the maybe half a dozen people who's been with me since the beginning. We have one more thing to cover from the 1970s era of Lupin III, so next time we'll be jumping into Hayao Miyazaki's feature-length debut, The Castle of Cagliostro. Until then,